No, I mean, architecture is political. We gotta add that stuff.
Indeed.
We're tearing down communities to build multifamily, and you have to understand we are creating displacement. You're displacing Black and brown folks, and they don't come back.
Half of this podcast would be dedicated to the history of Tyler House, my journey and my discoveries, and hey, I'm going to solve this housing problem.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Melissa Daniels. This is the Architecturalist Political Podcast where Black and brown folks talk about architecture. I hope you enjoyed this podcast and be part of my storytelling. I've been thinking about our profession lately, the architecture profession, and where it's going to go in this new world order. I think about what was it like in the past, and as America is wanting to go back into the past, I think about how was it like being an architect in the 1950s, in the 1930s, World War One, World War Two, and how the need of this country to go back, how does that look like moving forward? So there was Hill Day. Every year, AIA does this Hill Day thing. It used to be called Grassroots, but I think it's called Leadership Summit or something like that, where representatives of AIA chapter members and whoever's interested in paying the registration fee can attend. And you get to go on the Hill and have this Hill Day. You go and you talk to your senators and stuff, which is held in DC every year. And I was curious as to the topics of what AIA National is focusing on in comparison to like AIA DC, which I'm actually am proud of them for addressing the federal workers and those individuals who got laid off, as well as hopefully in the future jobs, projects, I should say, that a lot of firms rely on. There was a webinar that they actually hold where they invited former folks who work in various federal agencies to come in and I believe basically how to translate your federal work experience into getting an architecture job at a firm. I believe I didn't attend this, but in reading the synopsis, I believe that's what the topic is about. But I was proud of them for doing that, for holding something like that, as well as like just giving folks who were laid off the ability to use the chapter as a resource, which is something that, frankly, AAA National should do. I believe that focusing on the areas that our president has laid out is kind of mute, as well as going to the legislatures and saying, hey, don't forget about climate change, or hey, let's talk about housing policies. Because I personally feel, this is Melissa's opinion, I do not represent anybody but myself. I think it's a waste of time. The way this administration is, unless it's part of Project 2025, climate change is off the table. So why even bother your senator or your House representative to even talk about that? And I understand we should write letters or whatever, but if it makes you feel better, sure. But in my personal opinion, it's a moot point. But yeah, going back to layoffs, I'm glad that this particular local chapter is doing it. And I don't know what other chapters are doing, but I think that we need to pay attention to what's going on. We need to think of other solutions. We need to use our creative juices to think about what this profession looks like in the future, what our business model will look like in the future. What side are you on? Because there were architects that worked for Nazi Germany. There were architects that came up with designs that we still use today I'm not going to get into that. But we need to start thinking about that. And I feel that everyone has a wool over their eyes because it's shocking, right? It's extremely shocking what's going on. And we're not paying attention to that. We're not setting aside the space or the energy or the time to do something and to maybe we are doing it. Maybe there are individuals, there are committees that have been formed that are looking into this exact same thing. And I'm hoping that is happening and I can't wait to see it. But talking to Telicious about layoffs, right? The layoffs are really concerning. And that's just the federal government, but also local government, as well as the private sector. We're always the first to get hit, right? When there's a recession, that's when you start seeing things. And I haven't heard anything negative. Like I haven't heard anybody getting laid off. Nothing that's a massive layoff that's happening. There will always be layoffs in the architecture firm. Every year, every 6 months, they do this layoff thing. It's kind of like a purge that they like to do once a year, for the most part, in general. Telicious has been laid off before, as we all have. I know I've been laid off, and it's not a fun feeling. It's not a fun feeling at all. And sometimes you know what's coming, and sometimes you're blindsided. You have no idea what's going to happen. And the conversation that I had with Telicious, we talked about that, and we talked about how, as a community, as in this architecture community, it's sort of taboo to talk about. You kind of just whisper. You kind of like, oh, snap, such and such got laid off. Whether you're in the office or you heard through the grapevine, through a committee or colleagues or whatever, you hear about that. But we don't check to see how people are doing, or it's taboo. We don't usually talk about it. We also talked about grief and loss. We talked about small families, people who don't have a large family. It's just you in the end, you and your kids, or just you. How that takes a toll, and how family, strangers, becomes family, basically. We talked about her career path and how honest Telicious is, and the infectious energy that she gives off. But I hope you enjoy this conversation. So here you go. Telicious!
Melissa! I made it big time. You had a lot of comfortable people on this couch. You had Kevin and a lot of cool women. And I was like, this is big time. Architecture podcast, big time right here.
Oh, thank you.
You know, all the heavy hitters.
Including you.
I'm just happy to be asked to be on it because I haven't done a lot, but I haven't.
You have, yeah, you have. I don't know what the having part came from, but you have. So when I first met you, you told me your whole life story.
I tend to do that sometimes.
You told me your whole life story. And I was like, who does this? She's obviously not from DC or from the East Coast for that matter, because no East Coaster would do that.
I am. I'm from Ohio. Well, that's Midwest, technically. We try to say we're from the East Coast. Being from Ohio, we're from the Midwest. So you're correct. Keep going.
You have a very infectious personality. Like, I just want to be around you. Like, when we were at NOMA conference, I wanted to hang around with you. I felt like I was following you around like a puppy dog because I was like, what are we doing? What's going on? Oh my goodness. I get to hang out with you.
You totally was not. You're like one of those like cool people that's like, oh, Melissa's here. Where is she? Like, and then I'm trying to find where you are, and you're just like nonchalant, like, okay, I'm here, but I really don't need to be here. I have other shit to do. I think that's our personality. And that's what I like about you. It's like you see a lot of people who just are forcing it, and you're just like, I'm just chilling. I like that. It's like a opposite of me, but in a cooler way.
Oh, I'm going to take that.
I'm a lot sometimes. But you know what? I find that I do open up. But at that time, when you lose people and when you don't have a therapist and you move and then you're like, I'm word vomit, when I'm trying to connect, but I don't know what's too much, what's not too much. Because what happens with me, a lot of people prejudge me based on my personality. That happens a lot.
What is the judgment? What do you think they think?
Just based off of what people won't say how they feel about you to you, but you'll hear about things. Because I have an extroverted personality, and most Black women or Black people in architecture are more like laid back. Instantly, people think, I want to be in charge. I want to be the boss of them. I want all the things, Infinity Stones. And when I say, no, that's just me. Like, well, I'm from Ohio. I didn't even know until I moved to DC, like what a Whitney Young Award was. I didn't really understand a lot of stuff with AIA. I didn't even find out about NOMA until I was 30. So it was a lot of stuff that I just didn't know. And I think sometimes people think I just do stuff for the recognition or the clout of it all, but it's not the case. And then when they find out, it's like, no, like in my world, I'm like introvert, extrovert. Like I want to talk about stuff, but it's not the stuff that people think I want to talk about. So even teams, right? Like when I work at firms, people think that, oh, if I work with her, she's going to take up. And then when they work with me, they're like, you're just so laid back and you're really nice and calm and you don't yell at people and you don't get on people. And you're just like, when I've been in charge of projects, I'm just like not that mean person. So I think people just assume that I have this aura or personality that I just want to take over stuff or get credit for stuff. And it's not the case. So it's weird.
So it's kind of like you mentioned in the beginning, it's also part of being a Black woman too. Like,
yeah,
you have a thick skin, you're wearing a cape, so you're Superwoman and all that stuff. Yeah.
Or it's insecurity, or she could take that away from me, or she's boisterous, so she can take that light away from what I want to do. Whereas, like, let's say you're my boss and I'm on a project with you, my intention is to support you. You're the boss. And people can't understand that I can do that. Like, I've always been that person. If you're like, hey, I want to talk to the owner, I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just do the drawings, I'll do the specs. I'm okay with that. And then people, when they see, they're like, wow. And it's really the quiet ones that are the ones that like want to take your spot or want to take. What I'm loud about is injustices. I do stand up for the little guy. I can't stand by and see someone being like mistreated and not say anything. And I think people don't like that.
Yeah.
But it speaks on their own insecurity. Some people are like, I want to be like that. And we as Black people, we change and switch up. I am unapologetically me. I'm from where I'm from. I talk how I talk. I think people think that you can't be really that version of Black because being Black is a monolith. It's weird to me when people think all Black people have to be one way. Like we all grew up in different states, different parents, different backgrounds. We're different signs. Like we're not going to be the same. But do we have the same intention? That's the question. And just because I'm this, I mean, I'm not sensitive about certain things. So I think people need to get like not just our white counterparts or brothers, sisters in the profession. Black people need to stop thinking like, oh, well, you're this way. We all went through architecture school. We all do the same thing.
Right.
We all are working in the profession. So it's not like you're better than me or I'm less than you or I'm more Black than you or you're more. That's none of that is the same. It's more about what do you want? What's your intention? And instead of being like judgy, what is the real issue here? And I think that's what I'm trying to understand being in DC. Like it's I'm a lot, but I also care a lot. So it's like I can sit up and talk to you about, and you could talk to me and I'm word vomit, but also I can listen to you, vent, and be there as a friend or call and say, hey, like, what are you doing? How you been? And people discount how amazing that is to just reach out to somebody unrelated to architecture and just say, like, how you been today? Let's go get lunch.
How is the DMV different from where you're from?
It's so different.
In what way?
We want the positives or the negatives.
Both.
I think Ohio people, and this was funny, is because Brian Lee said the same thing. He has family in Ohio. He's like, I could tell you're from Cleveland. We're very honest and blunt. And we're more like, we call it how we see it. And maybe that's some Midwest people. It's like, okay, see, I'm the type of person, okay, I know you don't like me. Let's talk about it. DC is like, I know you don't like this person, but when I get around you, I'm going to laugh and act like we're best friends, but really I don't like you. And it's like, I don't know how to do that. I know how to be professional, but outside of like a job, I'm struggling with the idea of like, hey, I know this person doesn't care about me and I don't care enough to talk to them about it because I don't care about the relationship, but I know they don't. So I'll just steer clear away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas DC is like, people will never tell you how they really feel. they'll mask it with things. And you find out from behind the scenes, it's like, oh man, I never knew that. And if they would have talked to me, I would have loved to like understand that. But a lot of people don't talk here. And some more like, I feel like this is how you are. I'm finding out this by somebody that I know. I don't know you. So I'm going to believe this person. And I'm going to be around you and say hi, but I'm not going to really, I have my feelings about you. And I'm struggling with that aspect. Because you can feel how you feel, but if you don't really talk to the person and understand and you're just going off of one thing, then it's almost like, and Ohio is different. Now, the positive things about the DMV is that everybody's getting out there getting it. Everybody is like want to make money, want to be influential, want to do their thing. I've never seen so many people of color, especially Black people, successful here. Ohio is not like that. The poverty line is really low. There's no architecture community at all. There's no Melissa. There's no Kathy Dixon. There's no there's nothing like in Ohio, and nobody wants to help you. It's like very much crabs in a barrel. I don't have no help. You got to figure it out until you become somebody. And now you're okay, cool. Now I'm going to reach out to you. And I hate that. And now that's why I do so much with young people, because it's like when you get them at the beginning and you see potential in them, like this young, I have a young mentee. Her name is Ty. I was like, she's going to be somebody. I feel it. And I know she's talented, but I'll just be there for advice, or if she needs help, or if I can make a couple phone calls. I want to be a sponsor to her, but she's amazing. And a lot of people in Ohio don't do that. I never had a mentor in Ohio. I never had anybody help me get a job. I think when I did find one, like in my 20s, his name was Rory Turner, and he didn't work at a firm, but he was someone that's, hey, if you need help here and there, or if I can give you advice, he was an amazing guy, but he wasn't in the system. He wasn't at a firm. And I didn't even know about NOMA. Nobody talked about NOMA. Nobody really taught anything about Black excellence there. You'll be the only one in your family who went to college, so you have your families hating on you there. So it's very much like Ohio is poverty-stricken state. It's a lot of people that the poverty line is less than 40K a year. And it's a lot of people that's faking it till they make it. Whereas DC, a lot of people got it, but they don't really mess with nobody. It's like a lot of fakeness in that way. I don't. That's the best way I could describe it. And you guys drive different here. It's like a whole different vibe.
It's weird though, because it's like 3 levels of DC.
Yeah.
And the 3rd level is like the natives here. And I don't know if you've interacted.
I talked to a couple natives, yeah, and they're different. It's always the real, and then there's the what's being shown.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I try not to go in the hoods of DC, but I've met DC people, not in the hood, but just DC people. I met Baltimore people with that strong accent. I've met real people. Ooh, yeah. Mordor, you know what I'm saying? I met it because I like real authentic. I like real authentic people. When I first got here, it's like, what's an authentic DC? I don't want to go to what the website told me to go to. I want to go to a real DC thing. I want to go look at go-go music. I want to do real DC stuff, right? So there is a difference of that. And then that also is like that barrier of like, how authentic do you want to be within the culture of the city? But you can say that about every city. Like people go to Cleveland, they didn't really go to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Every time people talk about Cleveland, they talk about Bone. And it's like, Cleveland has a lot of celebrities that's from there, a lot of culture. Terrence Howard, Holly Berry, Steve Harvey. Like, it's a lot of people that grew up in Cleveland that people don't acknowledge because it's so cutthroat that when they leave, it's like, I'm the same way. Because Cleveland didn't help my career, but it definitely laid the foundation of who I am. But it's a lot of people from Cleveland that like Cleveland, and there's a lot of good stuff going on. There's a lot of money in Cleveland. It's just that don't nobody want to give it. There's all the money in Ohio. It's just they don't want to share it with Black people. So,
So let me tell you what I thought of you. Right.
Yeah, be honest too. I like the honesty of it.
So when you told me your whole life story, right? And I was like, okay, it's either me, like I'm giving that warm, open vibe.
It's you. It's you.
You sent something in me and you were like, let me just tell Melissa whatever. Or you tell that to everybody, which concerned me. I was like, did she tell this to everybody? Like, and one of the things that stuck out to me was you came here, you brought your kids here as a single mom, and you left Cleveland because of your mom's passing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, she is here to change her life. Like, she left to save herself and to find herself and her career. And so I was like, okay. And so when I saw you started doing things, I was like, yes, she's going to be the exception. After your layoff, you kept focused and you still had those connections. Because I would have, I have this saying where I burned the bridge so I could light the way.
I'm an observer. If I was in Game of Thrones, I used to love Game of Thrones, I would be that person that's like, I'm not going to say go it, but I look. The problem with this industry and the problem with a lot of what I'm seeing is like, I can't burn a bridge and then other people still got those people in that room. Right. So we all can be like, not pro big firm, not going to name that firm, but we can't be not pro big firm, but then pro them when they donate money to this or they use their people to promote our brand and use them to promote NOMA or anything else. We got to be all in or all out. I feel like I have my own agendas. I think a lot of big firms, rather, I can say two things could be true. I don't think they're good for people at our level. I think you come into the space, Melissa needs to run something. She needs to have a whole studio. That's how I feel. Right.
I mean, the big firms are corporate. I mean,
they're corporate.
Corporate style, right?
And they're corporate style.
Minus the whole it being architecture or planning or whatever other things.
Yeah.
It's a corporation.
It's a corporation. And so I don't think when we get to our point, when you're over 40, unless you're coming there and running the whole damn thing, I don't think you should work there. But if you're a young person, let's be honest, architecture and what is built and with social media, it's all about marketability.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about how people see you. And I think the big firms are great at marketing young people and marketing their talent because I want them to get paid. I want them to get exposure. I encourage them to work there and intern there, especially people of color, because when we were young, it wasn't even an opportunity to be an intern. It wasn't an opportunity. Unless you had to do something amazing. Like you had to do some crazy stuff to even get an opportunity to be an intern at these mega firms. So I want to keep the connection with them, not because of Telicious, but because of what it could do for other young Black people and other people. So I will put my personal feelings to the side for them, but I'm also doing what everybody else is doing. You guys, the whole industry picks and choose when they want to be in bed with them. Until it's a situation where it's like, okay, until they're scrubbed from everything, not scrubbed, but in a way that like you're not dependent upon them. We have to, like Black Wall Street. We don't ever speak about minority firms donating money ever, but we should. We should speak about, hey, how much are you giving? If it's $50, it's $100. And I never see any minority firms. And I'm, being local to NOMA and doing the things that, oh, ask a big firm, ask a big firm, ask a big firm. What if I don't want to ask them? What if I want this to be just us? You know what I mean? So we can't pick and choose when we want it. It's like, oh, they did you wrong. Go ask them for some money. Or oh, don't work there, but have them sponsor. And of course, with the sponsorship, they have to have a say and they have to have their people. We can't have it both ways. So, but we don't want to give up money and we don't want to give up certain things. And then we'll say, well, we're small and we don't have any money. Donations are not based, it's a donation. If you give $50, it's $50 more than what we had. I've given donations. I've given money. I don't have a lot of money, but if you say, hey, that's $100 more than we can do. I've never got a donation from a small firm like I've done the big firm. So that is a thing too. We have to be, professional. Sorry, I'm on rant, but I'm just speaking more highly from like a standpoint of I'm going to always be thankful for them because they've exposed me to things that I don't think I ever would. And since the situation, they have been the only certain people have been supportive of me. And I'll leave it at that.
I want to switch topics to NOMA. You are currently the VP for DC NOMA. I used to be part of DC NOMA board like 10 years ago.
Yeah, the back when the OG board.
The OG with Bernard. And I told Bernard, I was like, when you leave, I leave. So when he left, I left. He was a great leader.
Yeah, that was many moons ago.
Many moons ago.
Before I got here.
Before you got here. Yeah. And jumpstart everything. You really did jumpstart everything.
It's a new level of respect.
me being a DC native and coming to my own, right? Like I realized that I am not that person that architecture community at large wants, I don't want to say wants me to be, but expects me to be. I realized that I am a Black woman, grew up in the projects, and
Same.
there are certain things that I am not privy to. Sometimes I get, like, I have colleagues who went to private school and went to, can code switch beautifully.
Yeah.
And still maintain they are, right? They're not faking. They're just able to code switch really, really well.
Yeah.
And I am horrible at code switching. I can't fix my face. You can always read my expression on my face.
I can't. I think that's why I'm drawn to you. Like, because you, me, and Tiffany TB, we both like are from the projects. We both have this like no nonsense demeanor about ourselves. And that's kind of why so I didn't know that you were from the projects till you said that. But that's like it was something with us from the projects, girl.
I remember Morena was like, "Hey, Melissa, don't you want to be back in NOMA?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." One thing, it's hard for me to get to DC all the time where I'm at, but it's a battle that I'm not strong enough to take on, even though I'll have some colleagues that'll support me in that, but it's a bigger situation than.
Yeah.
It's political. It's very,
everything. A lot of stuff is political. Yeah.
Some of the initiatives that you guys have done.
So to understand us is to understand the timeline, right? Like when I got here, I had the same feelings you had. And I have a different idea of the mission of not only NOMA, but DC NOMA. And a lot of things that I've seen within NOMA chapters is we do some of the same thing, but we haven't done a lot more advocacy within the community of where we are. I wanted to change that, but at that time, obviously before we had our elections late and we have a whole new board starting in April of this year. So I like to timestamp it from April. I think last year, me, Marina, and Camilla were a part. We came in as newer people. We were the only 3 newer people. And I was only on that board for 4 months before I took a step back. But by the time there, it was like, okay, we need to work on the marketability of the chapter because I know one thing I learned about working just in general with talking to a lot of you ladies, like you guys are inspiration for me because I was somebody like, I don't want to be out. I don't want people to know who I am. I don't do social media. And we're in a TikTok and Instagram and YouTube era. I noticed we didn't have any presence and we're DC NOMA. So it's like, we need to work on the presence of getting people to do all the things and get people into it again. And then we need to start introducing real things, right? So April, obviously before we started off with doing the joint things with AIA. We wanted to do something for Juneteenth, but let's go to the African American Museum. Put that on the thing, understanding that, look at things architecturally and our history. Then, of course, we want to do something for the members. We have our DC NOMA barbecue. It's been 2 years and it's been great where we give back to our members and we pay for it and we go to the park like old school. And that's just me. I'm like, let's do a barbecue. We're Black architects. And we play space, we listen to music. It's that camaraderie. We brought back the sip and sketch that was back then. We brought that back. I know Gina Fernandez. I also like to give homage to those like a Gina, like a Bernard, people who came before that's willing, because I think what happens too, everybody forgets about the ones before them and they feel forgotten. I don't want to ever say, hey, and we updated the website to bring back old pictures to say, hey, that's a part of the history. They started the website. We need to do better with how we promote things. We decided to do joint things with La Idea because they're another minority group. That's just a tip of the iceberg of just doing collaborative stuff. I wanted to do stuff, bring stuff from Cleveland. I did a firm crawl in Cleveland with my kids. So let's do a firm crawl here. We're in DC. So I came up with a firm crawl. The guy that deal with Madison, who is our University Liaison in Madison, is just amazing. She's just one of those young DC born, like extroverted, but also passionate young people. She got the NOMA Future Fellows and she was really wanted to do more with young people and students. So I was like, let's do a firm crawl and let's like use these networking and these people that we know to try to do something with the students, but also let's try to highlight the older architects, but also architects, they feel forgotten. So I came up with member spotlights. I know that like VA NOMA does that and like other, but I'm like, let's do a member spotlight and that's like highlight all these amazing DC architects. So we brought that starting in July. We started doing that. I am working on or want to work within the government and the city to figure out a way to meet with, and that's what I'm currently working on, trying to meet with the procurement office to understand why more minority firms are not getting work and how we can get some of them to get projects without being attached to large firms. So I'm working on that. And then also, I'm also working on, I've spoken with local artists, local Black artists, and I'm excited about this. I can't go too much detail, but doing like an event with local Black artists and architects that work on projects specifically in DC, in these Southeast DC, in different areas and projects, highlighting what those projects were for the community. And if it's community-based projects, and bringing local artists in that and promoting those local artists and also these local communities that were done for Black. So this is something that's currently underway. So this is what we've done in less than 6 months, right? We've done all these things. And then we got 5-star chapter at the NOMA conference because a couple of us are involved with, we got Ruben, who's on the AIA Advocacy board. We got a couple people that do ACE. We have people that's doing stuff. So I'm like, let's talk about this stuff. Why aren't we talking about, and then we just had the ARC 30 presented to us and we got to pick 5 people. Immediately I said, this is amazing because Metropolis magazine just started this last year. And what's amazing about it and is that those are the only Black people there.
Yep.
And it's one of those weird situations outside of Camille. I'm sorry, Camille Smith Group. But it's one of those situations where I want people to start thinking highly of DC NOMA again. I get it. But what we could be, I think people are not understanding what we could be because they see what we were. So if I say, hey, if we know the corporations and these big firms will pick their best white counterpart to do this, but Melissa, you have the same criteria as Elizabeth. They're always going to pick Elizabeth. But DC NOMA also have the opportunity to pick you for the same thing. And we got 5 people. And nobody's talking about these things. Like we're in rooms. Melissa, you could be in a room. I got picked for Next to Leave, but it was NOMA people in that room who picked me. I have not done enough with AIA, but it's amazing. NOMA, it's like Melvin and different people that probably was in that level that was like, you know what, this person or this person or this person, you know what I mean? But they're in that room. And I don't think we do enough to talk about how important NOMA is. We just don't talk about NOMA. And we just talk about AIA a lot. And it's like they should be synonymous together. But NOMA mission should be about doing more for the community and advocacy. So that's what I'm trying to do. That was long-winded, but that's some of the things that we're trying to do. And we are still a brand new chapter. And I'm hoping that in 2025, we could be a little bit more. I know we're working on different programming. I know Camilla is programming and planning. I'm more membership chair. So I think we are trying to figure out ways to do better programming to, hey, let's get some people in the room and figure out how do you start a firm as a person of color? Let's do a workshop about this and do a workshop about that. And then let's also actually do something about it.
Even when I was there like 10 years ago, I was still like in the basics of like what everything means.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. And you don't really know what you could do, what you can't do. I look at NOMA as like, it's a dysfunctional family, but it's a blank canvas. Would you rather go in a situation? But a lot of people are afraid. A lot of people don't know how to build things up and they don't want to be. But guess what? It's okay to say, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I want to learn and I want to build this. What can we do with this platform and this organization that is reputable in its own way? Because NOMA's reputable. But you can turn it to whatever you want it to be. Most people say, I don't get involved. It's too much work. How do you know how much work it is? We don't even know how much work it is. There's a lot of people that's like, I don't know what to do. You make the work. We have bylaws, but you can say, I want to come in here and I want to do something locally with the DC schools because I think that's important. You can do it. We're not policing that. But if you say, I don't know what to do, but I don't want to be the one to come up with it, then that's a whole different thing.
It's a whole different conversation.
That's a whole different conversation. I think that's more what people don't know how to start. And they get afraid from that. And I would tell anybody, and whoever listens to, whoever's going to listen to the podcast, if you can't come into a situation, then you also have to I look at NOMA as a spearhead of who could be a leader, right? If you say, I want to have my own firm, but you don't, not saying that you have to be a part of NOMA, but I'm saying is if you say you want your own firm and you want to be a leader, but you are uncomfortable, use DC NOMA as a way to work on yourself. Like the whole purpose of this as a nonprofit is to get people to join, get people to invest, get people to, what do you think we do as architects? What do you think you do running a firm? You have to convince me to come work at your firm. You got to convince this owner to pick you as for a project. You have to go on an interview. Everything that you do in your real life, you do. This should be a walk in the park. But I realize, I'm going to be honest, a lot of people don't know how to do it. And now I know why you're not a principal. And now I know why you're not a leader. And now I know, okay, you might have been picked because you got tokenized. Because if you can't come in here, not talking about the OGs, if you can't come in here and show that you can lead and show that without no money attached to it, you're working on your skill set. That's what I'm using NOMA for, to work on me and be better. I was told that, hey, you know how to do this. Okay, let me learn. Let me learn how to work around people that might not agree with me on things. And how do I combat conflict? And I know, oh man, this person made me mad, but because it's like running a company and that is a partner of mine. And I cannot just push this partner out, even though I don't agree with them. This is a company and I have to deal with it. If you can't go in and do it, that speaks to you. That doesn't speak to me, that we don't have to abide by. And we are, regardless of what people want to say about NOMA, we are a part of Large Firm Roundtable. We are in conversations. We are in rooms. You, as a Black person, can decide, oh, NOMA's ghetto is this and is that. That's fine. But NOMA has the same opportunities as AIA, and some of us we're smart about it. A lot of us who double tap and a lot of us who are in both know what I'm talking about. Like, if you want to abide by the rules and pay your AIA membership and not be active and pay way more money, that's okay with me too. My firm and all my companies, I am an AIA member. I go to AIA conferences. I support certain things with AIA. They're not perfect, but NOMA's not either. But I'm not about to like praise them and then not be a NOMA member. It's counterproductive because which one am I going to get the most value out of my time and my dollars? Like if I pay my money, ooh, okay, so you pay your AA dues, you don't pay your NOMA dues. Okay, what do you get out of that? Or let's say you don't pay any dues. What I respect about you, Melissa, is like, I think, and that's the realness in you. You say, hey, I'm not going to do this, and I respect the hell out of that. There's so many of my friends that are Black architects who are not a part of NOMA, that are not a part of any of that stuff, and they just say, I do my thing. And these are great people. They're talented. They're awesome. It's the ones who, oh, NOMA's this, but then they use NOMA every chance they get. They have the acronyms, or they show, or they pay their dues, or they have the acronyms, or they show up the NOMA conference, or they use NOMA and they have their company use NOMA as a way. And I'm like, I haven't seen that person ever. I haven't seen that person like. And that's like, okay, you can't have it both ways. You either in or you out. In or you out. If you're not in, then be okay with that. But then you're not about to dismiss NOMA and what it's done for you. Because it has helped a lot of people's careers.
It really has.
I think it's weird. It's helped me in my way. Do the people help me? No. Has a NOMA helped me having those acronyms? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just think that I want to talk about NOMA the way I talk about AA, because I think we need to stop doing that as Black people. We need to stop talking down to something that has obviously helped our careers. It's just weird.
It is weird. And I recently did an interview with an organization. It was two organizations, but it was focused on social housing. And the organization is Empowered DC, and they do amazing work with the community. And one of the things that we talked about was this project on U Street. And she said that 10 years ago, there was like, this is census data, that there was like 1,000 Black residents living in U Street area. Now it's 100.
Wow.
When she told me that, I was flabbergasted. I was like, wow. And we have 2 historically Black colleges in DC. We was once Chocolate City. We have a Black mayor. And yet the landscape is being built with people that don't look like us. And when you mentioned the artists, I got super excited when you mentioned that. And the fact that you recognize that as an outsider, right? So I'm excited of what DC NOMA will be doing in 2025.
We can only get better. We can only get better.
I want to switch topics again to what you do now, and you mentioned this earlier about healthcare.
Yeah.
I just want to let the audience, because you told me why you wanted to. I'm like, why healthcare? And you told me. So I want to refresh that, just let the audience know, why did you pick healthcare out of all the other project types?
Disciplines. Well, I would say this. I have my own company aside from healthcare and care architects with my partner, Denver. And I think Denver knows you. And Denver started it. And then we worked together for 8 years. We met in grad school. And all our projects is word of mouth. I've gotten a lot of projects in Cleveland and done a lot of cool stuff. And he's got projects because he's amazing. He has a nonprofit. We're very pro-Black, but we work for the system. And so he works for the government as an architect, and at firms, I want to do healthcare, and my company is very supportive, and they knew about it. I wasn't really outwardly at it in my previous firm, so I was always under the table because I didn't want to get in trouble. Even though most of my firms are like moonlighting is cool, but I was like doing real projects. Like, if you go to our website, you'll see like, oh man, that website looks professional. They actually do real projects. But I'm very modest about it. Like people don't know. I can't tell everything, but you do. But healthcare at a firm, because that's hard to break into, even though I have a lot of connections, I haven't done enough on the side and I'm still getting my exams. I think that I was in a situation with my mom and just different things. I think doing healthcare in hospitals, it's about saving lives. It's one of those things where you see how you design a space can affect the whole system, right? And I feel like I want to be a part of something that can affect all of our lives and whether people live or die. And I know that's synonymous with that, but it's like if I put this operating room in these rooms here and the CAT scan room here, like let's say if a doctor needs to move down here and that can change the trajectory of somebody's life. So I think healthcare, and I've done all project types. I also like to interact with people, though I like K through 12 because I interacted a lot with kids and I'm a mother. And I like to do spaces that have multiple types of programming, right? Like you can do a hospital. It also has a dining area. It has offices. I'm doing behavioral health now, mental health facilities. And I think that that is just a calling, but also it's like, I'm proud to say I did this project. You know what I mean? Like I want to do something like, I'm doing this and I'm working on a project to help people with mental health issues. And we struggle with that every day. And that to me, I'm proud to say that. I'm proud to say that. Instead of, I worked on the airport. Or, I worked on this hotel. You know what I mean? No, I worked on this hospital and it's a critical care and or I worked on this birthing center. We're like for Black mothers or, that is deep, right? And I think that to me is exciting. And so healthcare is important to me and it's not a lot of Black women in it. There's not a lot of Black architects, Black women that are like, I'm all about healthcare, that are Black women architects. Marina is one of them, and that's why I connect with Marina. And Marina, it's so very few of us that I can be like, okay, it's Marina, it's me. I think I did find another person that did healthcare, but they're not in DC. And so Danny in New York, she did healthcare. So, and that's what she was on a session with me at conference that went really, really well. So you have there's very few of us that actually do healthcare, but when you in it, it's like, it's meaningful.
Ending our conversation, I try to make it a point to ask my guest this question, but especially when there's like topics that's dealing with just can get at you.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to check in. Like, how is your mental health? Like, how are you doing?
It depends on the day. I struggle with mental health every day because my mom isn't here and I don't have my brother and all the things. When you go through loss, it's like, how do you navigate that? Because sometimes when you said something important, you were like, you told me your life story. I don't have anybody to talk to. I've had therapy. I don't think it worked that well, but then I'm also trying to find a therapist. So for me, it's stuff that you battle every day because outside of the career stuff, I still got to think about my kids. I still got personal stuff I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with grief. I'm dealing with loss. It doesn't go away. And then it's the holiday season. So one of the most triggering things people ask me, I don't think they know it. It's like, you going home for the holidays? That is a trigger for me because I don't have a home. You know, when I went to Cleveland, I went to go to stay at my mom's house and have Christmas there. So I don't go to Cleveland anymore. But a lot of people can't fathom because everybody, like you can have a big family. There are some people with small families. There are people like I have one uncle or one aunt, or they both did. Or you can say everybody didn't come from a big family. Your family could be that person and you lost that person. And so every day I struggle with mental health, right? To try to I have to be a better person for them because I have kids. And as mothers, we have to be like, hey, we have to toughen up and be a bigger person for them. So for me, I'm being honest. There is not a good day because no day for the rest of my life can ever be great because I lost very important people to me. So if I smile today, it's a smile, but am I 100%? No. Because you always think about like who's not here, and then there's the thing of like family. But the positive thing about it is I just got to keep pushing. I do have people that I've connected with. At first, I didn't have many friends here. I know I have you. I need to see more of you. I need to go visit, but I have my girl Linda. I have a couple people that look out and call me and reach out to me. And so I'm trying to find my balance of happiness and being content for this new life that God carved out for me without people in it. So I don't know what the years will be, but I can say today I'm okay. But tomorrow I might not be.
You might not be, yeah.
You know?
I'm glad that you made a decision to come here so I can meet you. And I don't know who you were before. You changed. I met the after you, right?
I think I was the same.
Who you were before.
I think I was the same.
Yeah. I
would say this. I don't know if you believe in signs or anything like that. I don't know. Some people have this weird ideology of like, I'm an Aries. I can be stubborn. I can be these things. Everybody that knows me in Cleveland know me. I was very me. And that's delicious. I've been like that since forever. I'm outspoken. My personality hasn't changed. My outlook has changed though. Like when I was younger, I used to be mad at people for like not helping me and not like, and I'm like, they just didn't know any better. They didn't have the infrastructure to help me. And at least I can be open and honest about that. Now I'm in a space where I think moving to DC has helped my confidence. So now if somebody says like, oh, I don't like, I'm like, okay, that's just you. Or that they say I don't know how to do something, I know that's a lie because I know how to do it. And nobody can like make me out to be something that I'm not. I'm confident that way. People can say, okay, that's overconfidence or you think you can. No, I know I could be wrong, but I know that you're not coming from a place of honesty. You just want me to be a villain. That's fine. So I think DC has helped me have thicker skin for the career. I think that's definitely what it did. DC, like now I'm like, okay, I should not be that mad about that. Like, before I was so mad
it's not that serious.
When I first got here, I was so mad about stuff and they were just like, it ain't that serious. Like, after I talked to a couple people, they're like, why don't you just quit NOMA or just do that? It's not that serious. You making this person make you mad. It's not even that serious. And I'm just like, it is serious to me, but I get it. I think I'm easily ruffled. And I think over the past 2 years, I've definitely got better. I'm still passionate, but I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be as mad about that. I just do stuff just like they do it. I'm learning the DC way. So yeah.
You gotta learn how to me mug as you walk down the street.
No, I don't even me mug anymore. I'm learning. Like I had the question, like, how do you like just be around people that ruffles you, but be professional? So I'm gonna be professional. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna say hi. But I will tell you, this is the delicious way. I'm gonna let you know I don't like you. I gotta bring some Midwest. See, I can't be fake about it. But I'll tell you behind the scenes. I have text people like
you pull them aside and
I've done it behind the scenes. I wouldn't do it in person. So if you ever see like, okay, if you see me, I've sent a couple texts. I'm just letting you know I don't mess with you. So if you come here, just know like I don't like you. Now, nobody knows about this text unless you tell people. But just so we can say clear, so you don't have to we don't have to be awkward around each other. I don't like you. I've had lunches with people and told them I don't like them. It's been awkward, but
pause for a second. So they're like, you like go to them like, hey, let's do lunch. Let's do lunch. And then, y'all go to
okay, so
what?
It's been
Subway, Chipotle, like
Chipotle.
what?
We definitely went to Chipotle. It was a situation. I'll give you a couple situations. Obviously, I'm not gonna say who, but there was situations where it's like, okay, I built up a rapport with people, and then I saw things I didn't like it, and I just said, hey, I text one couple instances where I'm like, hey, I don't like this. I don't think you're someone I want to be around because we're different, but I'm a professional. So when I say you hi, but I don't want to have a closeness with you. And then the other situation was people were involved with like, hey, I don't care for this person. I don't like this person. Okay, you guys should meet. Okay, let's go meet. Let's go eat. And we went to lunch and the person asked me straight up. And I said, no, I don't particularly like you very much. And this is why.
How do people react to that though?
People are shocked by my whole like, it was like a state of like, I want to say shocked and like, this person really should say they didn't like me. But people don't like me. At least I'm honest about it. I know a lot of people don't like me and that's okay. I don't expect to be liked because sometimes this type of personality, the bluntness of it all is people don't like that. People don't like, you don't sugarcoat it. And my delivery sometimes is very harsh. But what if I told you that you shocked me based on your actions of how you treated me and how you treated other people, that other people, what if I told you you did something to make somebody cry and made somebody quit a job or made somebody do whatever? You made that person feel that way, but they are not going to tell you because they're afraid of you. I'm a slayer of bullies and I'm going to make you feel how you made that person feel. But you don't know that. I can speak about, hey, I don't think we mesh because I can't do what you do. I can't do that type of below the belt or behind the scenes bullying or making people cry. I'm the type of person like, hey, I see you, you see me, I don't like you. And they take it how they take it. They take it as like this person don't like me. And that's that. And some people take it harshly, some people are mad, some people won't tell me, they'll tell other people like I don't like her. That's okay. I could have probably done that and messed up situations for myself or probably messed up people's perception of me. But one thing you're not going to say is I'm not honest.
Right. I mean, it's going back to me burning a bridge. So I could light the way for you.
I'm okay with burning bridges with people that don't have any effect on my life or my career. Because again, I know who has real power and none of us have real power. It's the white establishment and the systems. So if you say, if anybody says, hey, I am a principal at a firm, but you don't have power to hire and fire and save a job, is that real power? That's not power. That's a title. And any of us can have a title that we don't deserve or a title that we do deserve, but we don't have power. I want to be around people that have power. If you don't have power to change a situation, and you don't have power to help people who don't have power, I don't care about how you think about me. And most people I have gotten to it with are people with no power or influence or network or category or anything. So, and we don't do the same thing. We don't do the same architecture. We don't work the same firm. So these are not people that like, I'm not dumb. I'm not about to make somebody mad that could crush my life and the way my kids eat.
Right.
But I'll just not be around you. But it's certain people that it's like, you're not worth my energy. And the reason why I'm even talking to you or telling you I don't like you is because I know how you made other people feel. Most times I just don't talk to you at all. If I don't like you, I just don't talk to you. But since now is my get back of like, okay, you made this person feel that way. You've cost somebody a job. You cost somebody a position. You done stuff behind the scenes because a lot of people are snakes. And now I'm gonna let you know how I feel about you. Now take that how you feel about it, but now you see that the jig is up and I see what you're about. And if I see what you're about, who you think see what? And a lot of them, they run scared or they just go away. But yeah, I'm willing to burn that bridge.
Imagine how far we could be in this industry, how far the industry could be, how powerful the architecture community could be if we were just honest.
Oh, man.
And it starts with having conversations with people you don't like.
I mean, like if more people was like Telicious,
it's more.
But I'm gonna be honest with you.
Power.
I have an issue with us not talking about being laid off. It's like a buzz where everybody wants to lie and make it seem like, oh my God, it's embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. It's the art industry. It's our industry. And so many Black women in architecture that are older, that are mid-level or senior level, have gotten laid off. And that is something we don't want to talk about. And that is something people are embarrassed about. I'm not embarrassed about it. I'm dope. So if I get laid off or get let go, it's nothing to do with my skill set. It's everything to do with certain things. And the bigger question should be, why did a person of color get laid off and not all the younger Black people who don't move the pendulum fence? Why is it that like 30 Black girls or Black men, Black women and Black men who make less than a certain amount of money get to stay? And then the 1 or 2 or 3, because it's only a few of us across this country that have positions of power and we get let go. That's the question, but we don't talk about it because everybody has got money and everybody is doing their thing and everybody's at a high position at their firm and but nobody wants to talk about it. And it's weird.
It's weird. It's scary.
No, not talk about it openly, but we could talk about it within the industry. Like, we don't talk about it. Like, we don't talk about it at NOMA conference. We don't talk about everybody is doing so great. Like, the people get mad at everybody, but really is the reason I don't want to make it political, but the reason why people are fed up. People are fed up. Like,
people are fed up.
What happened with the election? A lot of that was based off of people being fed up. I can say I did this, but people are fed up. And that's the same with the architect industry. We have social media now. People see things. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to my students. The students know these students are smart. People are smart. People are not like, if everybody know, okay, this is the industry standard of salaries. This is what it is. All of us can't be making the same amount of money. That's just facts. Some of us are making over 6 figures. Some people aren't making 6 figures. Some people are making 200K. Oh, 90% of us are not. Like, that's just the industry. So if you're telling me that this is not normal, it is not normal that everybody is happy and everybody is successful. That is a lie. Mm-hmm. That is a lie made up from people that want them to want to feel like they are more than what they are. But that is hurting us. That is hurting us. We don't have anything in place as a Black architecture, and I don't know if that's on NOMA or us, to help each other, to be an umbrella for each other. Oh, you got laid off. Oh, shit, let's reach out to the sis and say, hey, do you need anything? That never happens. Why? And if that doesn't happen, it needs to change. Mm-hmm. I'm not the first. I'm not going to be the last. Everybody has their story of what happened to them and what they had to do. But it's always the same thing. They get laid off. Nobody rallies behind them. They start their own company. They do their own thing. Or another white company gets them out of their rut. Or they go into other facets of architecture. But what if we said, hey, our good brother got laid off. Let's try to rally behind him. Can somebody get him some work until he get on his feet? Can somebody get him together? Can he, whatever? We never do that for each other. We don't have any type of thing to help each other out. And then that's that weirdness that we don't want to talk about. And we don't feel like we do. We have to start helping each other. It don't matter if you like it or not.
Isn't that part of like the problem with the Black community just in general?
100%.
And we're so used to the white rule.
I'm gonna be honest with you. We all talk about DEI. We all talk about moving the pendulum. A lot of people don't want that to happen because they like being the only ones. It's power in like, I'm a Black architect and I'm the only Black architect. And I feel special about that. And people don't want to talk about that. Like, I don't like being the only one because it puts a target on my back. And a lot of people are jealous of that. Like, in Cleveland, like, it wasn't a lot of us. There's not a lot of Black people in architecture. And it puts a target on your back. And if it's like a couple Black architects that everybody know about and they do a bad job, guess what? All of us suck because they've worked with these couple well-known architects, and that put a target on the back. If me and you, Melissa, want to start our own company, who's to say they're going to take a chance on us because they took a chance on this company because they put us all in the same bubble? But we don't help each other, and we don't want to help each other. We will go partner with the large firms or Black people in general. We want to be the only ones, and we don't want to share. And the reason why is because when I'm involved locally, none of these people show up. Nobody shows up we have Project Pipeline Camp. Where's people? Where are people at these schools? Where are people doing in this DC, in these schools, in these communities? Where are you guys? You're not there, and you're not too big to go back and give to the homeless or go back and give to this community center and go back and support these local Black-owned businesses. You're not too big. You're not all that to where you can't give back. And if you show me who gives back, I will shut up. But we haven't made enough noise. And that's the problem. If I got to go to spaces in DC, you know how many times I've been to places and I've been in big events and I have good friends. Nobody's ever heard of NOMA. Nobody's ever heard of NOMA. People are like, how do I find Black architects? What do you mean? And part of it is like lazy, but it's like, we think stuff is bigger than what it is. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't understand how to find us and how to reach out to us. And that is marketability, but it's also of like, we have a lot of dope people here and nobody knows it. And it's shocking because it's like, am I the only one asking this question? Why? Why aren't we more involved within the community? That's something that everybody has to answer for themselves. That's not me calling anybody out. Everybody has their own reasons. But that is something that until we get real about the profession, it's never going to change because we don't want it to change. Some people don't want it to change. Some people, it's like, I'm a principal. or I'm a director. I got my bag and I don't give a shit about how nobody else did. I'm gonna tell you guys what you think you want to hear, but I don't want my position to be compromised. I don't want competition. That's life.
Well, it's facts. It's facts.
Yeah, white people, everybody. I done seen jealousy on every side. I done seen people have smoke with. I've seen some stuff, and I'm like, man, that's just the industry. And sometimes you just got to be okay with it. But I don't want us to complain if we're not doing anything about it. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to do. So, I know you, man, I know you got to cook, but I would say that I'm going to do my part, not being from here. I'm an implant. There's a lot of implants in DC. There's a lot of people that are not from here that go to Howard, that go to UDC, that come in here and they're not like us, like Kendrick Lamar say, they're not like you. And they come in and they don't care about the community because they're not from here. But I would challenge everybody. This is our new home. So though we're not from DC, we got to treat it like we from Cleveland or we're from Atlanta or we're from whatever. And think about it, it's like this is our home. So we got to do better. So hopefully in 2025 and beyond, hopefully I get my license and I can go ahead and roll into the president role of the chapter and keep it alive and we get more people involved. And Melissa, get your advice on like being a native here. What should we do? I'm willing to listen. I want to learn and do more.
I love talking to you.
Oh, thank you. That's why I'm like, we got to build up. Well, the podcast is good. I tell everybody, whoever listens, podcasts are meant to have those conversations that people don't want to have. That's why I wanted to come on this podcast because it's an authentic podcast about these conversations that people don't want to have or never heard before. And when people hear, they're like, man, they're talking about some real stuff. And it's not, but I want to say this, I am not calling out anybody specifically. And I don't want people to be offended by anything I say. Now, a hit dog will holler. A hit dog will holler. I'm not talking about nobody. I love everybody. Telicious don't have a beef with nobody. But I think everybody's super dope. And I challenge everybody to be like, when they hear this episode or hear your other episodes, to want to do more and want to be more involved in your way. It don't have to be with NOMA, it doesn't be AIA. It could be like, I'm going to join this committee. Or I just want to show up and show support. So when these events do come out and DC NOMA do what you guys say we want to do, I would love y'all to support. We just had an NCARB event and we had about 15 people show up. I think 30 people signed up. And to be honest, it was still great. 2 hours. It was so much information. Oh my God. And we had hard questions and it was stuff we found out and that's those type of events when we have things, when we meet, if it's not about just you, sometimes it's good to show up and show support. We have 185 members now in DC NOMA. We have moved our membership and being a part of the OG board, we are moving and we have increased our numbers. I think back in April, we had 187 LinkedIn. We have 650 now LinkedIn connections. We are moving our visibility. I did that news spot. I was on news.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, we talk about that.
How did you get that? Like, what was the story behind that? Real quick.
They emailed us and said, hey, we saw your event. You guys want to be on the news? And I sent it.
How did they see your event, though?
I don't know, girl. The internet. They probably see, I don't know how we're moving through the algorithm. That's why I tell people it's important to do marketing and posts and posts and posts. Because you never know. You ever see people go viral. Like we could do right now, we could go viral, you and me. And all of a sudden, like you get 300,000 followers. Like, what the hell just happened? We went viral. So I think what happened was like we had a lot of hits. And probably when you go to Google, it'd be like Hispanic Heritage Month. And they probably just like, hey, you Google me and popped up. And Eventbrite is public. And also I sent that to the good sisters at La Idea, Mariana and Asana, who are super dope. And they were like, you do it. And then I'm happy I did it because it was a lot of NOMA questions. And they were like, we're La Idea, but they're super collaborative and dope. And they emailed us. So we can send stuff to our email and I reply. And I'm like, oh, that would be amazing to talk about it. It was legitimate. And we get stuff all the time. And I think that people, the same, ARC 30, I got reached out personally about that. But then I said, send it to our email. So we get stuff all the time. Being DC NOMA, people send inquiries about projects. And I'm like, hey, if this is a real project, I'm going to send it out to all our minority firms. Say, hey, y'all want this? We get stuff sent all the time and we want to help. That's what DC NOMA needs to, that's what NOMA needs to be. A resource for people who want to reach out to Black architects, who want to do stuff with us and have our input. And yeah, that's how it happened. I was on news and they emailed me the day of and said, do you want to be? I had no prep questions or anything. I was nervous. I never been on news. Well, I was on news before because my kid's father got robbed.
That's not the news you want to be on. That's not the news you promote that.
And I was like, this is unbelievable. Look, it was funny because people were like, we saw you on the news. But I had no prep questions or anything. I didn't even know what he was going to ask. But he was a really cool guy. Never heard of him. I'm not from here, so I knew nothing about the news. I never watched the news one time since I've been here. And I was like, cool. So I went in there. I was nervous, but I wasn't nervous. Because it was like this. It was Zoom. I got to talk. I got to be politically correct, but also talk about the event, talk about NOMA, and understand that, like, where we are, everybody, Melissa's OG DC NOMA, and where we are and where we're going. And it only takes a couple good people. It takes Marina. It takes me. It takes Ruben and Robert and Camilla and all the people that literally want to come and be on the board. Ephraim and Madison, Sarah. It only takes a couple of us to say, you know what, we want to make a difference and we want to come on this and we want to do something. And we don't know like how it's going to go, but we're going to try. And a lot of times we want to mimic what you guys did and what other NOMA chapters have done, and we want to be better. We also want to make some noise because we're here with all the headquarters. So you're going to see a couple next year. You're going to see some news spots. I got some people that know some people that know some people. I think I'm going to put a highlight on DC NOMA when people least expect it. We're going to get more opportunities, more money, more sponsorship. We are a nonprofit. We don't have money. All our money comes from membership. So anything we can do, the more members we have, the more we can be a foot on somebody's head. And we just want to do more and make more impact and make more architects and be more, I'm not going to say like that people get framed when you're like, you're trying to build art. No, I think we want to be more of a presence in the architecture community here in a positive way. We don't want to be the butt of anybody's jokes. And so far we have AIA, DC want to be more collaborative. They were like, we should do more events together. And I'm like, we should. And let's figure out what events and what we can leverage that partnership. We are partnering with NCARB. We are partners with the Architect Foundation now. We have an MOU with them. We're partners with Amber Book. We have all these MOUs that people don't know about that we're doing behind the scenes. We have partnerships with the National Building Museum. That's where we have our Project Pipeline Camp there every year for free. And we're going partnerships with different directors and different people. So we're going to surprise a lot of people in a positive way. And we just going to do it big. And we're going to go to NOMA conference and we're going to let people know, even though we going to be enough to where people, I love the competition. I love, like, I get mad, but then I'm not mad because I know this is NOMA. So I think I challenge everybody to do more in their cities and their companies and do it professionally. Don't cuss out people because I learned my lesson. Tell people you don't like them, but on the low, like
on the low.
So take them to lunch and text them and say, I don't like you no more. Like, don't text me no more. And then don't make a big fuss about it. But yeah, it's gonna be good. So yeah, that's how the news happened. Stuff gets sent to me a lot now, and we're still moving. We still got a lot of kinks we got to work out, but we are moving in the right direction. That's a completely correct answer. So Melissa, you renew your membership. You ain't got to come to everything. Just come to some stuff. Because you're a big voice. Let me tell you something. I want to do better. I want to tell you this is the thing what I want to do better at, and I'm going to critique myself. I often get mad at people for not you, because you always been you. But I think that we have so much history here, so many amazing OGs here, so many FAA. I think we're the city with the most FAA members that are DC that are NOMA. We have a lot of OGs here. So I think that they've earned their right, their keep. We have legends here, I think, in our architecture community. I want to do better to reach out to them and try to be more like, hey, what can we do to get you guys to show up to this? And I want to highlight you, but I also want you guys to come back in the way of like advocacy, like advisory. I get you busy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to have you be here day to day, but I do want to have more input with a lot of our older architects. And I want them to like, and because they are members, they are NOMA members, they are proud members, but I want their voices to be more highlighted locally because I feel like they are so important to our cause and our mission, and they're reputable. And I don't want them to be forgotten. I want them to know that like we see you, we see all the work that you put in, but I do want to challenge them to be like, the young people don't know you guys, and I want them to. I want them to know like, yo, this person, you know what they've done, what they've accomplished, and what books they've written, what things they've done. I want your legacy to be so much like it's there, but I want these young people, these young books, and these 30 younger than 35-year-olds to know the impact that you had in the city.
How do you balance it all?
I don't sleep much.
How many hours of sleep you get?
About 6 hours a day on average.
That's not bad. It's better.
5 to 6. You know what I do? I would tell everyone this. I don't go out a lot. I go out when people come into town, but most of the time I'm in the house. And my kids are older now. They're 9. And so they make their own cereal and food. But then I balance the time they're in their iPads. You see, they're probably in there on their iPads and they know how to turn on TV. We go over lessons and stuff sometimes. And some days I'll spend, and a lot of times if I take them out, so it's about which day. You have to do a calendar to say, hey, Sundays I'm freer. And I'm also really good at certain things. I'm good at graphics. I took web design when I was in college. I'm like weirdly smart that I don't tell people about. In 6th grade, I tested at a high school level. And they wanted to move me to high school, but my mother said no, because, I'm from the projects and it was R. Kelly stuff going on back in the day. My mama wasn't having that. She said, no, my baby ain't about to go to 10th grade, 9th grade, and she in 5th grade. So it's stuff to where my brain can process. Like I could design really well. If you see the graphics and stuff for DC NOMA, I can do that very quickly. And it's certain things my brain can process quicker.
You're high functioning.
Yeah. I am a little neurotic and I might have ADHD because I never study for the AREs. Anytime I try to study, I get distracted. But if I literally, I don't know if I need to figure out medication for that. If I stopped, I could probably pass all of them but my mind is weird. I never really studied in my life. There's certain things that I want to get tested about. Like I can look at stuff and just know it. And then there's things where it's like I don't study. And I'm trying to figure that balance out. So that's that. So there's certain things that it might take somebody long to do. I know how to do it very quickly. But the other thing is like I don't really get intimidated by many things. So if I know I got to do drawings, I had a deadline this week, a permit set. I'm very inquisitive about the deep details of things. So I would say, okay, I'll do this for this much longer and I'll do this at 10 o'clock at night. So tomorrow I don't have to work this late. And I map out a lot of stuff really early. I plan things out. So next year, Marina being our president, she's like, we need to map out everything next year. So I've already mapped out like a lot of my year-long goals. And I'm already in conversation about things before it happens. And a lot of us don't do that. Like we're like, oh man, y'all got an event. That event been planned for 2 months.
Advertise it 2 months in advance, please.
Okay, so there's the thing. We have social medias. We updated the social medias. We put them in our things, follow them. And I think we're trying to work out kinks with the communication, but we are looking at ways to promote things early. But we've never had this much time. Again, when we came in April, May, we didn't have any of this stuff. So now for 2025, we want to map out everything. So everybody see it on the calendar on the website and everybody know what we're about to do. We also email out a newsletter and we're going to say, hey, this is what's going down in January. You guys can sign up. Here's a sign up sheet. This is what we're about to do. And we want everybody to turn up, but also show up. And when the serious stuff, show up for it. Don't just show up for the happy hours and the food and the drink. It's nothing wrong with that. So a part of it, when I balance everything, Melissa, it is about like sacrifice. Like I'm sacrificing studying. So I am next in 2025, I am trying to do less so I can get my exams done. Because I know that is something that I need to do. As a Black woman, as an architect, I'm doing the job, but I don't have the title. For the last 5 years of my career, 6 years of my career, I've been in the role of a project architect. I'm getting paid as a project architect, but I have to call myself a designer. So it does things to your psyche.
Yeah, it does.
It does, especially when...
Trust me.
I've been in spaces with people that were architects and I'm doing their job better than them and I'm better than them. And then they get to go to the conferences and I've had people tell me like that are licensed, that are my friends that have asked me for advice and help. Like, how do I do this, T? And they're like, why aren't you licensed again? I'm like, girl, I don't know. But I know that it messes with my psyche because I cannot call myself an architect and I am an architect, but I can't call myself that. I'm filling out the permit applications. I'm doing the CA. I'm doing the details. I'm meeting with the owner. Everything that y'all do, I do. But it is a level of like, I got to get it done. So I am trying to take a step back. And everybody told me to take a step back. And I'm putting my trust in the board and everybody else to be dope. And I might go ghost, but not be ghost. I'll be around.
Telicious, thank you so much.
Girl, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Architecture's Political Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it informative or at least entertaining. If you like what you heard, please share with others. You can also connect with Arcus Poly on social media, currently on Instagram as well as Facebook and Twitter. For more information, visit us on our website. It's arcuspoly.online. ARCHIPOLLY.online. I also want to thank our loyal supporters who have been with this podcast for at least 3 years. It means the world to me, and I'm totally grateful to have you part of this community. I will try to bring you the best content as possible, and I can't wait to share more amazing episodes with you. If this is your first time listening, or just like a particular episode, or all of them, you can support this podcast by going on glow.fm/archispoly. Again, thank you for your support. It means the world to me, and thank you so much for listening.